What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jonathan coming back here for a lunchtime at the storage unit. You know, a lot of times I don't even realize that a lot of my followers are beginners and don't really understand what I'm talking about when it comes to Circle T and Tour issue and things like that. For the most part, we can play what the tour players play. But, every once in a while there's a tweak here or a head there, a driver shaft, or something that's not available to the general public. One of the first things I think of when I think of that kind of thing is the orange graphite design shaft. Everybody loves that shaft, and you see everybody wants to hit it and wants to look at it because it was Tiger's. It was designed for Tiger. But what most people don't realize is Tiger wants more spin. He's playing the spinniest golf ball on the market right now. So bad that Bridgestone actually created his ball to sell to the public. Nike didn't. Nike, when he was with Nike, that Tour one that he was playing wasn't the one that Tiger played. He had one that was a spinnier version that was probably more like the Pro V1 back then. Now it would be kind of like the Pro V1X, the higher launching, or lower launching, higher spinning one. So I guess it would probably be Pro V left dot or something. It's so different now. Everybody's playing different gear. Things have changed, but that shaft, because of its color and because of how unique and distinguishable it is still around. Is still kind of making waves. Same thing with putters. You start to think about putters throughout the years, and what made Scotty so great was he was kind of Titleist's first intro to putters. They had the dead center way back in the day, which, if anybody saw it, wasn't anything to talk about. They also had the bullseye. The bullseye was one of the ones that you still see some guys. Tom Kavicki from Harman actually still putts with a bullseye. He putts left-handed, and he has a two-way bullseye. So Scotty's actually come out with a few. You see some of the ones with the little circle T or the cherry bomb on like the flange, the heel part of it. So um, I'm going to get into some putters. I'm going to talk about some of the ones that I like, some of the reasons why. You're going to see probably 6 or 7 different versions of the same putter, um, different materials, different faces, different millings. It makes it feel different coming off the face. Um, why I ended up with my gamer, which we're going to talk about at the end. I started playing as a kid with a ping answer, and ping answer had the sound slot on the bottom. A lot of guys on tour that played with pings kind of use that. I was going to get into it a little bit later on, but we'll start with this putter because it kind of is what I'm talking about. This one's inspired by David Duvall, and again, I'll have pictures of these when I do the thing. I'll kind of cut in and show you guys close-ups of this. But this is just a normal putter, milled face, Scotty Cameron. Nothing special about it in terms of the milling or the graphics or anything, except for on the bottom. Here you see on the bottom, it'll say inspired by David Duvall. Again, like I said, I'll go a little bit closer to that with a close up, and I'll show you why it's different. But the thing that makes it different is the slot on the bottom. That's what I putt with. It's sound and feel. But you're not going to see that in a run of the mill off the line putter. So I got a little ahead of myself by talking about that one. So let's start with the run of the mill line putters, right? So you're not going to see me with any exciting head covers on these usually or anything. This is just a putter that I grabbed um, in search of a replacement to the putter that I putt with now, right? This is a Newport Special Select. He comes out with a new version of Select kind of every 2 years. You'll see this one, very deep mill face. Again, like I said, I'll zoom in with close-ups of all of them. But this is the one that you're gonna go off out to the store and you're gonna buy for, I don't even know what they are now, $3.90, $4.99, something like that. No, $3.99 I think, or $4.29. This is what you're gonna go buy, right? It's gonna come with a stock head cover, no value to it. But every once in a while you get lucky, right? Put these away as I talk about them. Every once in a while you get lucky. This is a putter that I bought in 1997. to put in the bag. You know, this thing's been through wars with me. As you can tell, the finish isn't great. I'm a little afraid to mess with the finish because you can't tell in this light, but it's got a pretty good wear spot on it. Um, so it's to refinish it is tough. You know, I'll zoom in again. This is a Napa um, original run. This is 1997. Bought this, put it in the bag. So now it's worth in good shape. I mean, it can be worth up to 1,500 if you get the right buyer. So it's funny you do things and you buy things along the way, or you're given things along the way, um, and you kind of play around with stuff. So again, most of this stuff I was never planning on selling or planning on collecting. I'm not a Scotty collector, right? One of my gamers you'll see when we get into it is Spider, and it's one of those situations where I just kind of started. I don't like this one. This one looks funny. Okay, they got a new version of this. The new materials are softer, and you're always chasing that winner, right? But the thing that I've always been chasing was the feel of the Newport Beach. That's the slot in the bottom, and I finally found it in a Circle T back in like 2002 or three, and I played it for a long time, and then it got stolen when I was traveling one day. My luggage got stolen, and it was a search to try to find something to replace it. Finally, I found um, somebody at Titleist that had access to one, and was nice enough to give it to me or send it to me. So, but again, you get into the stock putters, and you can do some cool things with stock putters, you know. But the other thing too is you got to be careful of what you're looking at. You know, don't get into a bidding war on something that's not worth anything. So, this is just a line putter, right? This was, if you remember the original 3 dots in the back. You know, I sent it to BOS Golf. I had it refinished. I don't love the black finish. It felt a little hard to me when it came back. This originally was silver. So again, you start to play around with some things. I once had somebody offer me 2,500 bucks just because I had Circle T weights in it, right? It's not even a Circle T putter. They didn't know what they were doing. It had a Circle T head cover on it that matched the weights and everything. And at the time, it had a Circle T grip that matched the weights and everything. That was real, but it's just a stock head. So he offered me 2,500, and I was a friend of his, so I didn't take it. And I told him later on, like, look, it would say right here in the milling, right here, it would say for tour use only if it was a real one. So if you see guys online on eBay selling putters, you come across one and it's like 750, 900 for a Circle T, make sure you know what you're getting. A lot of guys swap out the weights and then claim it's a Circle T. A little shady, but that's the business. Again, start buying and trading used and new putters. Again, part of the reason why I don't really call myself a collector. I've never got into the sales of it. It was always fun for me. It was always collecting the head covers, and honestly, I could probably do a whole other show just on head covers, and we'll talk about that at the end. But yeah, this is all stuff that I just played around with. This is one that I was playing around with paint and how I could paint fill grips and things like that without ruining the feel. And it didn't. It was good. A buddy asked me, he was working at the down bar at my former club, and a cart girl that he was dating at the time, we may have a hurricane coming with the same name as hers, was looking for a putter. So I had, kind of paint fill with blue and pink, but I did all that, right? The key to paint fill is you have to take the original paint out. You have to take paint thinner, let it soak, and then get the original paint to come out. Then you paint over the clear surface. Paint won't stick on paint. So I like testers when I'm using for Scotties, when I'm redoing testers model paint. For wedges and stuff, you can just use the paint pens or whatever. So whatever's easiest. But again, this is another just stock putter that I was never going to do anything with. Never going to sell, never going to get rid of. So I just kind of played around with the color schemes in paint fill. So you can do some cool things without breaking the bank. Another one that was just a line putter that I had that I played. And, this is another head cover I picked up when I was out in California at the studio. I usually put it on that putter. Obviously, you can see colors wise, but I just kind of threw it on this one today. Another line putter. Obviously, I had this back in 1997. It's been sitting in my basement forever. Um, Now would be worth some money. I kind of screwed up. I was playing around with learning how to stamp. Came out okay, but there's a couple mistakes. Again, you see stuff online. I saw a putter the other day. It was a timeless GSS, and we're gonna get into that and what it is and why it's so expensive. But it was like $8,000, and the Titleist was shadowed. You know, these things are all hand. The good ones and the expensive ones are all hand stamped, and um, they're one of one. And you know, if there's a mistake on it, sometimes it makes it more valuable. You know, you look at Tiger's putter. There's no Circle T's on that. That was before Circle T kind of became a thing, and we're going to get into that and what happened and the story behind it, kind of coming up in the next couple putters. But um, he doesn't have all kinds of elaborate stamps, right? He just has Tiger Woods on the bumpers and Scotty Cameron up and down on the face, and then all the cherry dots that you talk about was just to try to get the weighting right. So it wasn't about style or swag. It turned into style and swag after the fact. So then you get into stuff that's limited edition. Obviously, I went into the David Duval. I don't need to show you that one again. Um, I've got a Brad Faxon. There's some other ones. Davis Love the Third has one. You know, Rory has one. Jordan Spieth, I think, has one. When you guys win a bunch of majors or whatever, I'm surprised Brooks hasn't got one yet, but I don't know. It might have something to do with no, because I don't know. Peter went. I was gonna say maybe it had something to do with Liv, but I'm surprised they haven't done one for Brooks yet with that button back. So next up, again, this is where you start getting into prototypes, right? Prototypes are like one step below Circle T's unless they actually are a Circle T prototype. But this one is a 1997 long neck limited edition. On the bottom, it says Cameron prototype number 2. I don't know if you can read that, but I will have a better picture of it up close because I wanted you guys to see the wear spot. This one's seen the wars, and I want to get it refinished, but it's tough to get rid of that, right? You see that? It's pretty. Looks like a Tiger putter right there. So, yeah. So this one's a limited edition. Again, it's a long neck. I know one of the guys that I talked to back and forth on social media, Jay Halverson Golf. He's the giraffe expert. Everything he does, every putter he uses is long neck, and guys are always making stuff for him. You know, another limited edition I have. Again, as you can tell, right? I switched the grip. This used to have a leather wrap grip on it because it was custom. Came with a head cover that matches the putter. Pretty cool head cover, a little different than normal. But this one's called Prototype, but I don't know. I think it was a line putter at one point, right? It's a little bit of a mallet. You can see, you know, it's got that gunmetal finish with the Scotty Cameron on the heel. But the reason why I grabbed this one, I had a friend that worked at Titleist. I think he's since retired, but he was a putter junkie. He actually switched to putting left-handed. Those of you that are watching along and know what I'm talking about, his initials are TL. He was great to me when it came to putters. Hey, I'm struggling. I need a mallet or whatever. He's like, come on over, take whatever you want. You know, so again, I've had people be very good to me and very generous to me over the years. But this one I grabbed, I was looking for a mallet, and how could you not grab this with the bottom, right? Like the crown's all over it. And this is a prototype, but this is one that I think they sold a few of because I see them around online. But again, this isn't a Circle T, but you still see these online for like 15, you know. The market's crazy right now, so stuff's way higher than it used to be. I would think this probably would have been like 750 to 1,000 a couple years ago, and now you're looking at like 15 or 1,600 bucks. The eBay market right now is insane. It's tough to not sell, to be honest. But again, I've collected these over so much time. This is the next one that I had. I put this in the bag for like 2 seconds. Now we're gonna get into Circle T stuff. This is what started me talking about this. The customer, buddy, I don't even call him a customer. We've reached out. We've been talking online now, back and forth. So I call him a buddy, right? Buddy reached out and he's like, John, I'm a baseball player. He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. What makes the Circle T so different? Why is it so expensive? It's kind of a funny story, and I don't know how true this story is. Again, like I said, I'm not a collector. I've just kind of collected. Does that make if that makes sense? I don't know. Some people tell me I've got pretty good with metaphors. I'm a collector, but I'm not a collector. I collect because I don't want to be a scumbag that gets free shit and sells it. But at the same time, it's kind of a pretty cool collection. Starting to get to be a pretty cool collection. So here's the difference, right? Quality control. Circle T putter, guy comes into Scotty's studio, he's on tour, he says, I want this material, I want this stamping, I want this weight, I want this lie angle, and I want this length, right? These are the best players in the world, and they can feel the difference between one or two different degrees of lie angle or one or two different gram weight on the toe or the heel. So when you look at these putters, obviously the head covers alone cost more than line putters, right? You go to the studio, I haven't been in a while. I bought this one when I went the last time, and it was 125. And I bought this one when I went last time, and it was 325. And the key to these, I don't know if the rule's still in place, but you can't buy a Circle T head cover unless you're holding a Circle T putter. Fortunately, I was out there. Titleist flew us out. We all went to the studio at once, and then we met with Paul in the back, and he taught us how to fit putters, or not taught, but kind of gave us a quick instruction on fitting putters and stuff, and they allowed us to buy whatever we wanted, head covers. Didn't matter if we had a putter or not. So it was pretty cool. I spent some money. I wish I would have had a little bit more money to spend out there. Actually, one of the things that I saw out there, and again, it goes back to why sometimes just putters that fit your eye don't fit your stroke. And I'll insert a picture of the putter that I'm talking about here. I don't have it anymore because it was so bad, and I was so bad with it that I sold it. But when I was out at the studio, they had a Golo number 9. No, what is it? No, Golo 3, and now it's been called the Del Mar. It's the Newport 3. It's like a half mallet. Phil used to putt with it. But they had an all blacked out one, and it was sick, and it was like 2,500. Came with a dope head cover, and I didn't pull the trigger. Later on, I found one online that was kind of beat up, and it was exactly the same thing. The thing that I liked about it was it didn't have the notch. Like if you know the putter that I'm talking about, and I'll try to find a picture of it. When you're standing over it, there's a notch where you can see, and then the sight lines and everything. The putter that I wanted and the putter that I bought that I thought I wanted was just flat. It didn't have the notch, and it had a dot for a sight line. I got it out on the green at my former club, and it was heavy, and it was toe heavy, or no, heel heavy, and I couldn't get the toe closed. Everything was out right, so I sold it, and I couldn't wait to get rid of it. But that's what happens when you go to the studio. You never know. Like you may have a tour putter that you can just grab for 2,600 bucks. That putter you may turn around and flip for 6-7 grand depending on what it is, and we're going to get into that a little bit now. The reason why I don't like this putter, it just didn't fit my stroke, right? It's face balanced. I need to put stroke a putter that's toe hang. I need to open and close. But the cool thing about this, zooming in close enough. Yeah, you can see the T on the toe. There's a T in the heel, and then the bottom. This is what I'm talking about on that Newport, where you see how it says tour only under the Scotty Cameron. Well, that's where it would have been where I was showing you on the other one. But you notice all these weights are changeable. They all have the T on them, and they all have the gram weight. Now, you're making putters for the best players in the world. You don't want it to be off at all. So the quality control on this is through the roof. If it says 10 grams on the weight, it's 10 grams. It's not 10.2, it's not 10.3, it's 10 grams. Most of the putters that you're going to see are milled to, shadow in there so you can see it. I'll zoom in on it. I don't think you can see it there. They're milled to the specs of the tour players and what they want. The length is 34.5 or 34.2, or everything is to the spec that they want it, and there's no miss, there's no whiffs. Everything's always going to say for tour use only, and it's going to have that Circle T logo on all of the stuff. As you start to get, this is not a valuable one. Again, I don't remember where I got this one. I got this one like a week while I was like right when I was traveling or right before I was traveling. I put it in the bag for the Bangor Open. I played okay. I made the cut, but it wasn't in the bag for the main open. So that kind of tells you how I felt about it, and it never went back in the bag. I've had a couple people try it. I'm willing to sell it. That's one of the Circle T's that I am kind of willing to sell because when I looked a few years ago, they were selling for like 750 to $1,000, and now they're going from 1,500 to 2,000. So that's one that, while the value's up, I would definitely take money for. Um, because sorry guys, a couple of people just drove by the storage unit, but that's definitely one that I would take. Somebody offered me 1,500 or 1,000 cash or whatever, I'd probably take it. I have no real ties to that putter. It's even when I gave it to her to try, she said it looked like a spaceship, and people would be crazy if they spent that much money. But again, it goes into the tour logo, and now we'll get into that, right? So everybody asks, why is it tour logo? Yes, it's quality control. First and foremost, it's quality control, through the roof. Same thing with shafts, right? Fujikura has the Aventus with Velocore, and then they have the Aventus that they make for the stock clubs that, you know, I just keep hitting this gas pedal and ruining my vibe. They have the Ventus that they make for the stock golf clubs, and they have the Ventus that's upcharged. So obviously, the Ventus that's upcharged is going to be spot on. 64 grams for stiff, 66 grams for X. Spot on. Now, where you cut it changes things, obviously, but that's the quality control of it, right? So a Circle T head cover, you look at this, I mean, every detail is stitched, every letter is individual, they're not tied together. You know, it's every detail is thought out. The material is got a kind of a weave on it. They do that so the counterfeiters can't do it. So these are the Circle T's that I try to stay away from for the most part because they're the ones that are most commonly counterfeited because they're milled, right? There's no hand stamp, there's no element of mistake. Little crooked letter here, a little deeper stamp there. Everything's going to be milled exactly perfect. The only way you can tell the difference between this putter and the line putter, right? I had this one. I was gaming it as a line putter, and then I was able to get my hands on this one, which is a Circle T, and I sold the line putter to a buddy, and he's still gaming it. He had it refinished to all his colors, and it's all, you know what I mean? He took that putter and made it valuable, right? But I bought this. The only difference between this and the line putter is the sole plate, right? I mean, that's it. The sole plate on his will say Titleist Scotty Cameron. The sole plate on this says Circle T. As you can tell, the weights are heavy. This is a 30-gram weight. This is why I wanted this putter. And then the reason why I grabbed it, because I fell in love with the white sight line. You're not going to find that. The line putters had it black, right? So those are the things about Scotty Cameron that you learn, right? You can make any putter your own by just changing the paint fill. Or you can send it back. There's so many companies that do such great work. I use BOS Golf. They were Scotty Cameron's original refinisher before Scotty Cameron got into refinishing putters. So they do great work. They'll do paint fill, they'll stamp initials, they'll stamp wording, they'll do whatever you want. As you add, it starts to get more expensive, but you can do it. But again, these are the ones that are going to be on AliExpress, on the Japan market, bootleg, because they're milled. Nothing's done by hand. It's all machine, so it's easy to replicate and easy to duplicate. You've heard me talk about this one. This is the one that I put with. If they had a line version of it, I'd be willing to try it. I'm not a golf snob. When I find something I like, I find something I like. They don't have a line version of it, so I needed to get it through Circle T. Cool thing about this is, and again, this is the stuff that he does, like I said, with the head covers. I could do a whole episode just on head covers. But all the little details, right? They sent me this after I bought it, but I ordered it. And it came in with a Tour Bulldog head cover. And obviously they don't know that I had a Bulldog, but it's still pretty cool. And I'll try to replicate this head cover as many times as I can. They get a little expensive. This one's still in good shape, but obviously I want this thing in the bag for a while because of the bulldog. But if you look close, um, it's embossed, like all that Scotty logo, that bull with the horns, the dog with the horns is embossed all over the head cover. So it's pretty cool. Again, attention to detail. If you're going to bootleg this head cover, you're going to have to go a long way to find all the details and do it. This head cover right now online, eBay, if you go, you probably find them anywhere from like $4.99 to $500 just for the head cover. So the putter itself, um, again, it's one of those where I was gonna buy one for $1,500 on eBay, and I sent a buddy a Titleist a text and was like, "Hey, I'm about to buy this online. I'd much rather buy it from you." He emailed Scotty's guy, who we met at the gallery out there, Paul. Obviously, he didn't remember me, but he's like, "I have one of those. What length? What do you want?" And I was just like, "Listen, I don't care about any fancy stamping. I just want 34 inches, 2 degrees flat." And he sent it in, and I've loved it. I've putted great with it. I don't feel this way, but one of the former guests, Mike Young, says everything I hit looks like it's going in. But I tend to disagree. But we this one's seen some use. But again, as you can see on the heel, you see that Scotty Cameron stamping. It's gonna have some crooked letters. It's gonna have some letters that it's stamped a little deeper than others. That Circle T is not perfectly flat. That's okay. On the back, I kind of wish the bumpers were blank so I could have done something, but again, that's 303 stainless. That's what they use for the tour putters, and then you see the SSS, which is, it stands for softest stainless steel. The ones that really get big value are the GSS, the German stainless steel. That's the softest metal that's used on putters. That's when you start to get expensive. The timeless get up to 15,000 dollars online. You get the model like this. This is the one that Jordan Spieth putts with. He has the black one with carbon. You'll see that one selling for like 8,000 to 9,000. So the story behind Circle T was Scotty used to have the studio, right, when he was small, and he didn't have Titleist and all this. And I don't know the truth to this story. I'm sure it's been told 17 different ways. Supposedly, one box got shipped to a store that was supposed to go to the tour. One box got shipped to the tour that was supposed to go to the store. The next time he did it, he scribbled the T and circled it. So it was tour only. And as you know, through the years, Scotty's been notorious for logos and icons, right? The rat, the super rat, the bull, the bulldog, Jackpot Johnny, all these guys, the grinder. So again, the Circle L is another one. That's one that's, Scotty has an outing with his boys every year, and the losers of the tournament get a Circle T putter, but instead of a T, it has an L stamp. So there's so many cool stories behind all of it. Again, I'm not really a collector, and I'm not really a historian. So if anybody has any info or has any pictures that they want to show, send them in and give me a call. Let me know. I'd love to sit down and talk putters with anybody. That's one of those things I could talk putters for hours. This is a fun thing for me, and again, it gets my mind off a lot of stuff. So thanks for the advice. Thanks for the content, the idea. I appreciate it. To anybody else who has ideas, anybody has any questions, anybody wants to hear anything from me, I'm good to go. Starting to unpile this storage unit. I started getting into the tailgate stuff. I'm actually kind of motivated to go Sunday. I don't know. We'll see. Any of my Patriots boys that I reach out to and talk to, if you want to go, hit me up. I could probably be convinced this week. They're wearing the throwbacks, and I haven't been. Last year I gave those tickets away to a friend and didn't go. So I love the throwbacks. I'd love to see. I texted my boy. Oh, again, I'm about to talk about football, and we're about to talk about my boy who sent a text behind the scenes. Tip was a former guest on the show, and I said I'd love to see the white with the red. Guys, you want to talk Circle T, you want to talk gear, you want to talk a famous Hall of Famer get giddy, start talking Circle T's and Scotty Cameron with Andre Tippett. You know, it's again, these are the stories, these are the buddies. We talk putters every time we play golf. You know, what are you putting with today? Which one you got? When he retired, Scotty made him a cool one. Back then, I don't think Circle T's were kind of really a trend or a thing. And he has the Hall of Fame date and tip and 56 and all that, but no Circle T's, which is kind of weird. So it's all in red, white, and blue Pat's colors. So that just shows you how guarded that Circle T logo is and how hard it is and to get. And that's what makes it so expensive. So to Cody, who was asking what's the difference and what makes them so expensive, it's the materials and the quality control, but more importantly, it's because it's worth whatever somebody says it's worth, right? You know, it's expensive because it's valuable to them. That's it. The difference between buying one and not buying one, putting with one and not putting with one. Yes, you may feel some differences or whatever. Anybody that putts with this feels it. That's the slot more than it is the fact that it's a Scotty Cameron, a Circle T rather. You know, the German stainless steel obviously is a little softer, but again, it's just one of those things. It's cool because Tiger putts with it, you know, and that's what you see everybody, you know, chasing is that dream putter. You know, I have one that, you know, it's the same model, the same make with very similar stampings that was made for him, and I just don't have any way to prove it was made for him, but I think I could probably get 15 grand for it. If it was authenticated, made for him, it'd probably be worth more. So there's some cool stuff. There's some cool putters. I have that one locked away somewhere. I know that one is not hanging out in a storage unit in the middle of New Bedford. So, yeah, again, guys, I appreciate it. Love having content to talk about. I might even try to turn this into a full episode. This went 30 minutes, and this was easy. Like I said, this is. Oh, I didn't even get into my other gamer. I'm sorry. One last thing before we go. Right, Spider, 3 degrees flat. I love the sight line on it. That's what made me be able to just put it in and get it online. I felt like a lot of putts that I hit with this that I felt were good putts that weren't going in. Thought maybe alignment was the case. A lot of the times I get this on the putter and it kind of seems to be the same result. You know, just offline just a little bit. Maybe I'm just a bad green reader. But yeah, so again, I'm not a Scotty guy. I'm not a collector. I'm a whatever putter feels good, I'll put it in the bag and give it a shot. And if it doesn't work and doesn't do well, it goes back in the bag or in that bag rather. Yeah, I've had this in the bag for a few years now, and it probably won't move. This one's never come out since I put it in. Not even for, let me see how this feels. This is I'm comfortable with it. Everything I stand over feels like it's going in, whether it goes in or not. So, and that's the key to putting, guys. Find something that you're comfortable with. Find something that you feel like it's going to go in. It doesn't matter what brand. It doesn't matter what model. It doesn't matter how much it costs, right? You know, Betsy, she was a $225 blade off the rack putter, and I putted with her for, I don't know, 20 years, 10 years. So it's, you know, you never know. You never know what you're going to fall in love with, but it's worth trying. And when you find something you fall in love with, don't just get rid of it. You know, if you replace it with something, put it in another bag and hang on to it a little while, because you never know when you might want to get back. You know, every once in a while, I pull her out. You know, she has a pink grip on her because she's called Betsy because she's my baby. Every once in a while, we cuddle. All right, guys, until next time, let's go.